Hey, horror fans, once again, it is me, the Horror Miser. It's time to review the horror movie called The Black Phone. Yes. Now, The Black Phone is a 2022 American supernatural horror film that was directed by Scott Derrickson. It was written by Scott Derrickson and C. Robert Cargill. It is based on the short story by the same name by Joe Hill. Now, the film stars Mason Thames, Madeline McGraw, Ethan Hawke, and Jeremy Davis. Now, in this film, after being abducted by a child killer and locked in a soundproof basement, a 13-year-old boy starts receiving calls on a disconnected phone from the killer's previous victims. Mysterious, isn't it? You know, when it comes to horror films or horror thriller films, nothing can be more frightening than a thriller that involves a child abduction. Thrillers such as Split, The Boy Behind the Door, and Run are perfect examples about how suspenseful and frightening these types of movies can be. When you add the supernatural into this mix, you can increase the atmosphere, suspense, and tension into the film so long as it is done right. You can have yourself a very thriller, very good horror film with the elements in there if you add the supernatural into this type of a film. Which brings us to the film director Scott Derrickson's latest film into this subgenre based upon the short story of the same name by Arthur Joe Hill called The Black Phone. Now, set in a suburb of Denver in 1978, the town is on edge as a child abductor named the Grabber is terrorizing the neighborhood. Where they're introduced to Finney, a 13-year-old boy, and his sister Gwen, who are living in fear with their grieving alcoholic father, who unfortunately is abusing them. They're obviously grieving the life of his wife and their mother. If that isn't bad enough, poor Finney is also the victim of bullies at the school because they intended to beat him up because they think he's gay. But he is befriended by Robin, who encourages Finney to stand up for himself, and I love this character right here. We'll talk about him more later. Unfortunately, Finney becomes the latest victim of the Grabber, and while trapped in the soundproof basement, the disconnected black phone starts to ring. Now, can the victims of the Grabber help Finney escape this nightmare? That's basically what the film is about. This is the second time that film director Scott Derrickson and actor Ethan Hawke have worked together, and the first being 2012 Sinister, and we all know how great that film was. And just like in Sinister, Derrickson has an excellent way of keeping the audience on the toes. That also has supernatural elements in that as well. One thing he has, one thing he has done right is he has created an amount of tension and suspense that you needed in the film that's like this. The moment that the film starts, you can already sense the tension and the fear that the people are on as we see the Grabber grab at least two other kids before he grabs Finney. And we see all the missing children on the posters, and we already know this. He's just terrorizing. You also have to take into account this was happening back in the late 70s, and they didn't have the type of technology as they do now. So I'm pretty sure it's very hard trying to track down this child abductor. Now, one of the things, obviously, you can tell that I love this film. One of the things that Derrickson does well, he does a good job in developing his characters, particularly Finney and Gwen. As soon as we see how both are treated by their still grieving father, you can't help but feel sorry for them. There's some trigger stuff that's going to happen. I would say midway through the first act of the film that might trigger some people, but it does develop their character. Like I said, there's another scene in the film where Finney is being chased by the bullies, and all of a sudden Gwen comes to his rescue and she nearly beats the crap out of one of them. It just makes you start caring for Finney and Gwen. So when Finney is captured by the Grabber, the audience is pulling for him, hoping that he'll find a way to survive this nightmare that he finds himself trapped. Now, just like Derrickson did with The Exorcism of Emily Rose, he directed that as well. The supernatural element here is creepy and dark, making the film a bit scary at times. There's some creepy imaging that happens when we see some of the victims of the Grabber trying to help Finney escape from the basement. Now, I'm not spoiling anything here because you see it in the trailer right here, but some of the imagery of his victims are creepy, and we get a good jump scare too. As with child actors in The Boy Behind the Door, you really have to give credit to both Mason Thames and Madeline McGraw, as they have great chemistry together on the screen. As a matter of fact, I think Madeline McGraw almost steals all the scenes that she's in this film. She's great at portraying Gwen. I mean, you truly believe that they're brother and sister and that they love each other, mainly due to their current living conditions. They only have themselves to support, and you can see that camaraderie, that element that you need in this type of a film. You can tell that they really love each other. And to no surprise, Ethan Hawke is creepy and scary as a grabber, a man who comes off like a clown. You might get some Joker vibes in this film, but in fact, he's a dangerous killer who should be feared, and we see aspects of that character displayed throughout the film. Now, I love the mask he wears throughout the film, which was inspired, I believe, by Lon Chaney's character in London After Midnight. Now, while I haven't read the short story that was written by Joe Hill, yes, Stephen King's son, I did learn that Derrickson and his writing partner C. Robert Cargill's script stays close to the source material, which I'm glad. Like I said, I haven't read the short story, but based upon the film, I'm assuming that the short story Joe Hill wrote is similar to what we see in the film. Overall, this was an excellent and thrilling film with plenty of dark and creepy moments, excellent acting by the leads and Ethan Hawke, and perhaps one of the best horror thrillers I've seen since The Boy Behind the Door. Yes, I truly love this film. You have to see it. Now, I believe, checked this out, I believe I've only given out all 5 of my Bloody Gold coins, perhaps maybe 3 films. I believe it is Get Out, I believe it's It Chapter 1, and I believe it is A Quiet Place. I believe I've given 5 out of my 5 gold coins, maybe 3, maybe 4. If I don't know if I have I didn't get a check to see if I did that for not It Chapter 2, A Quiet Place Part 2, or maybe even Us. But I know I've at least given out it 3 times. This will now make it the 4th time I'm going to give the Black Phone all 5 of my Bloody Gold coins. This is a thriller, excellent thriller. You get a very interesting conclusion at the end, what you expect out of this film. You really start pulling for Finney in this film. You have to, because you want him to escape. The acting is done. Ethan Hawke is incredible. There's a brilliantly written script by Scott Derrickson and Cargill. Fantastic movie. Obviously, this is going to be on my top 10 best films, horror films of the year. So if you haven't seen The Black Phone, go check it out. You're going to love it. So there you have it. That is my video and review of The Black Phone. I hope you did enjoy it. And if you did, please give it a thumbs up, like, and share, because it does help out with the YouTube algorithm. Also, have you seen The Black Phone? Please tell me what you thought about it in the comment section below. Also, if you're new here, please hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell. That way you'll be notified anytime when I put a new video such as this one. Once again, my name is Lamont Smith, better known as the Horror Miser, Monty G, and always remember that horror rules. And I'll see you in my next video. I'm out.